Hey there. Before we get started, I just wanted to come on and ask you all a favor. In our research, we've discovered that the vast majority of you do not actually like and subscribe to our podcast. And so, if I could ask you to do so, I won't ask you for anything else. And I promise to make this podcast the best I can every day. Me and the team really strive to do that for you. And so, if you could do this for us, we would be eternally grateful. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Mikkel Weber, founder and auteur of House of Peregrine. Expat, immigrant, pioneer, none of these were a fit, but Peregrine describes what we are all about perfectly. Those that craft their life story with intention. I've spent the last 6 years in awe of the life-changing connections and stories I have experienced while living abroad, and believe it is time for this adventure to be recognized, celebrated, and elevated to the life stage that it is. Through these interviews, I hope to connect those living internationally more deeply to both the place they are living and with themselves and those around them. We cover everything from international finances and meaning-making to global parenting and relationships to make your time abroad more intentional, edifying, and full of beauty. Find us at houseofperegrine.com, where you can find more ways to connect with the ethos of Peregrine. I hope you enjoy today's guest. Let's get started. Rashi Agarwal Favier is a content creator, a former model, a stand-up comedian, and an activist. She moved from India 4.5 years ago to Amsterdam, right before the pandemic, where in her words, she became a person of color overnight. She talks about this as well as jokes about white privilege, colonization, feminism, and life in the Dutch capital on TikTok and Instagram. She credits her approach of making people laugh while also learning something as part of the reason her content has gone viral on TikTok and Instagram. Rashi has an inherent drive to follow her own evolution and use her own privilege to educate and inform. She insists on remaining authentic on her accounts by following whatever is interesting to her in the moment. Thank you so much for joining me today, Rashi. I'm really excited for our conversation.
Hi, I'm really excited to be here as well.
When I first encountered you on Instagram, I immediately recognized a lot of what you were saying, but also learned a lot of things. And so I'm really, really happy that you agreed to come on. I'm one of your fans.
It's my pleasure.
So I want to start out because I think when we spoke earlier, I really was struck by this notion of your coming to the Netherlands, bringing new awareness to your own privilege and your own place in the world. So can you tell us that story, if you would?
Yes, I think in India, privilege plays a really big part in how you grow up there. And I have a lot of privileges in India. I have caste privilege, class privilege, also my skin tone. There's so many things that are, going for me there. And I was always aware of that. And I always tried to use my privilege for, bringing awareness and doing something good. And I think moving to the Netherlands suddenly shows you the real class divide also in a new country where you move to. So I feel like you just hear things or things happen to you or the way people treat you is so different based on how much privilege you have, which I think is so unfair. And when I moved to the Netherlands, I saw that kind of immediately because suddenly you are a person of color, where in India I was just a person. So I saw a lot of things that I never had to deal with that when I landed in Netherlands, I suddenly was faced with them. Not to say I didn't still have tons of privilege here as well. But it's just something that, you have to kind of face I moved here when I was 31. So it's something you just have to be aware of suddenly, which I found sort of interesting. And that sort of made me want to talk about it because I was sure other people were figuring this out as well. So also then taking that privilege and then using it to talk about it because I could talk about it and I had a voice.
Would you say, were you shocked? Was it completely unexpected? Would you say this new awareness or these realizations? Would you describe it as shock or would you describe it as something else?
No, I don't think I was shocked. I'm pretty aware of how yeah, if you're not white, how you're treated in the world. I've seen it firsthand also if when I've been around white people in India, you can see instantly how they're treated, better. So I wasn't shocked. I think it was just like, it was a feeling that I hadn't experienced before. Like the first time I faced racism in Amsterdam, it was just a bodily feeling that I've never felt before. So it was just very different and something I wanted to explore, like how does this feeling manifest and what it's making me feel? Because in India, I am the oppressor. So I also wanted to learn about this feeling from different points of views and ways. So yeah, it was more just interesting.
Yeah, that's really,
Yeah.
it's really beautiful the way you say it, that you went from feeling or being the oppressor in one case to being something, the oppressed in another, or the lesser. So you would describe it when you lived in India growing up there, that you saw people being more privileged, but you never felt like you were oppressed. Is that,
I
do
I
I have
think in
that?
India the only thing where I feel oppressed is because I'm a woman. And India is a very patriarchal society, so definitely that's why I also talk about feminism a lot in my content, because that's the one way I really felt that it's unfair in my sort of experience. But I was also really aware of how much privilege I have based on caste and class and all of these other things. So that's the difference, I think. But definitely that also brings across here it's not an equal society if you think of genders and the sexes. So here is just an added layer, I think. And it's very interesting how different societies decide how much, privilege you get based on just some things that you can't decide or choose for yourself. So yeah.
And would you mind? I have my own interpretation of this because I also came from a very patriarchal place, but I would love to hear how you experience that where you're from. Which, can we tell people from which part of India are you? Did you?
I'm from South India, but I'm North Indian, but I grew up in South India.
Okay. And what is that like? If I know nothing because I don't explain what that means. Like, what are the people like where you're from? Or
Well, I grew up. I always say I'm from a small town of 3 million people, which, uh, yeah, it's funny, but it's true. It's a smaller town, so it's a bit more chill, more relaxed. But the inequality of the sexes is very inherent in the society, so it's not really geographically doesn't matter where you are. It's just how the culture is,
Mhm.
and how you're treated differently just because you're a woman. And I think the biggest thing is the safety for women. So it's not safe to be outside as a child if you're a girl. It's not safe to walk, out by yourself at night, even sometimes even during the day. There's a lot of catcalling. There's a lot of sort of staring. It depends on what you're wearing a lot. Like if you are wearing something that is not acceptable, you can get blamed for something that happens to you. So it's a lot of victim blaming. I have to say my family is amazing. So I was not raised sort of unequal to like my brother. So it was in my family. It was a very nice environment, but there are relatives and there are people who want to always comment on things. And also women are supposed to do certain things. And if you deviate from that, you're like a bad woman, or you can't be outspoken. You have to sort of just lay low and do the things that society has deemed for you. Like, and I think the biggest thing for me was marriage, because marriage is such a big part of Indian culture and it's something you just have to do. And this is not just for women, this is also for men. So I think marriage was the biggest thing that was sort of, I didn't feel like I wanted to do exactly what people were telling me to do, or like I wasn't super for arranged marriage. It works for a lot of people. It was not for me. But I felt like, yeah, as a woman, you really have to navigate that because you have to make a lot of sacrifices if you get married and yeah, do certain things that society just wants you to do. And if you just want something different, you're not allowed. So
Yeah.
that's sort of, yeah, the
Yeah,
dynamic.
that makes sense. I want to ask, I want to back up, but then I want to go more into this. But what where you grew up or in India in general, either is fine. What is that divide based on? In where I'm from, it's like based on religion. Religion kind of backs up this servitude of women and all this stuff. But is it the same? Is it just, what would you say it's based on? What gives that notion that women should be less than men or treated differently?
I'm not a history expert, but I think this is what I have read, or sort of this is my information. Please correct me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong. But I think comes from just the perfection of a patriarchal society. And I know that a lot of it was colonial. So the British brought a lot of their Christian values when they colonized India. So like the dowry system or women being property. And if you look before the colonization from Britain, which was 300 years, women were much freer. Women would roam around like topless with just like a thing. So if you see our ancient scriptures, there's so much sort of nudity. There's also there's a lot of sex, like freedom of sex, like sexual, like Kama Sutra comes from India. So I know a lot of it comes from colonization, but I don't know if that's what all of it is, but to me, it's like, it's just how it has been perfected to become like a patriarchal society.
Wow. You've just taught me something new.
Well, I also, when I learned that, I was shocked.
Yeah.
But I definitely, my knowledge of so many things just doesn't, and I have to keep reading because, when you are also the oppressor, you are not super knowledgeable on a lot of things. I've also started reading up a lot about anti-caste things. I've followed a lot of accounts. I want to learn more about casteism because it is so well and alive in India right now, and people sort of deflect it by saying, "Oh, it used to be a thing of the past," which is just so not true. So yeah.
Can you explain that just a little bit? I think I know what it is, but would you mind just telling us briefly an overview of what a caste system is?
So a caste system is where the people are divided into 4 categories, and the lower category is the lower caste, and they include certain sections, so Adivasi, Bahujan, Dalit, and they are just not afforded the rights as the rest of the 3 caste divisions would have. They get jobs that are not, like considered dirty or lower for people to do. And
just so I know, this is based on lineage then. Is it based
yeah.
on lineage? So who
I
your
mean,
father?
again, I'm not the expert on this.
No, you're not, but you're helping me understand. So it's not based
So
on like how much money you have. It's based on who your ancestors
I
might have.
think it also is based on how much money you have, because historically upper caste Brahmin like caste have hoarded a lot of land and money. So it does sort of have an effect on who then gets to have money now based on lineage, of course. So it's all super interconnected, and yeah.
Got it. Okay. I know you told me you're not the expert, but you're the expert to me right now. So thank you for answering my questions. Okay. So you didn't know why you were being treated differently as a woman when you went outside of your house. It's just part of your culture. Like that's the water you were swimming in.
Yeah, and because of the difference in my home and outside, I think I questioned it more maybe because
Yeah.
my home was different than other people, and I also saw my friends, they were treated differently than from their parents. So like it was just a bit like I was questioning a lot. I was questioning a lot of things, like why do they get to go out and I don't, just because I'm a woman? And why do I not get to wear this? Like I was just questioning a lot, which also you're not supposed to do.
No questioning.
Yeah.
Oh, so is that just a thing in the culture, or you just knew inherently you weren't supposed to question? Did you know that House of Peregrine has an app? It is full of resources, information, and products to make life as an international more connected and more intentional. As a member of House of Peregrine, you also now have access to exclusive discounts, products, guides, and events to make life more fun and connected. Simply download the app at houseofperegrine.com and save it to your home screen. Okay, back to the show.
think when people tell you don't question anything, you
Yeah, it's just out and open, just like a fact. Yeah.
yeah.
That makes total sense. Um, I'm wondering because it sounds a lot like high demand religions, where they say don't question. And so when I see that in like a more, when I hear you saying that in a more like a not religious, context, it makes me very curious. So I want to dive in, but, okay. So you were always questioning. It sounds like you were, well, for whatever reason, you always felt a little different, or like you were always kind of wondering and questioning when you weren't supposed to. And so, do you think that was what made you always think you wanted to live abroad? Or tell us that story about eventually, eventually studying abroad.
I think it stems from what I said about like just wanting different things. And it's either, yeah, you don't have examples of that around you, or you don't think you can have different things because that's just not the norm. And this is before social media, internet. So your worldview was very much what was around you, or movies or TV, and not really other people living in other countries. You didn't have a worldview because you didn't have a way to see anything because the internet was not a thing. So I think when I was a teenager, I just like, I don't know, I just wanted different things. And I think I was influenced by a lot of American TV sitcoms. I just wanted like, like a free life. I feel like I didn't want to just do the thing where you study, get married, have kids, and a lot of women don't work. And that's changing now. But when I was growing up, like a lot of women didn't work and there was a set role for people. And I just wanted different things. I just didn't know what, but I knew I didn't want that. I knew what I didn't want. So I think moving abroad was me just wanting a bit more freedom to choose what I wanted. And it could have been possible in India, but it's just something that I felt like would be easier, I guess, abroad. And I also wanted to travel. I think I also I think I wanted to explore more cultures because I saw this on, TV or movies. And I thought it was so interesting that there are people who can be so different, but also they're humans. And yeah, just to meet different kinds of people, which again, if I lived in a bigger city in India, I would not maybe think how I thought, but I lived in a smaller town where we didn't have a lot to do, or, we had the same people around as like a small town sort of thing. So I think, if I didn't grow up there, I might be different. Like if I grew up in Mumbai or Delhi or something, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's what sort of the thing. Like I just didn't want that. I wanted something else and I didn't know how else to get it, I guess.
I highly know what you're talking about. I don't know what I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want. That I could have, I think me and a lot of people listening to this can relate. So that led you to studying in London. Is that right?
Yes. So I wanted to do something creative. I know, like for my studies, I studied fine arts, and then I really wanted to do fashion, and I really wanted to study abroad because it just looked like so much fun. And I think I went to London in 2010, and around then social media was like a little bit of a thing. Internet was a thing. So I also saw a lot of people doing it that you could study abroad. And I got into London College of Fashion, which was a big like moment because I didn't think I would. And then my parents let me go. And it was amazing. I think it was my first and like, what do you say, view of the world outside of my little sort of world that I saw. And to be honest, I loved it. I was 21. It was amazing. So
Yeah.
I think that's where the insect bit me for like, exploring different things. And yeah.
The insect bit me. I love that. You got the bug. We always say you got like
Yeah,
the bug.
that's what I meant to say.
Yeah,
I
no, I
think I
love.
was translating from Hindi, but
No, I like the way you said it. Actually, I'm going to start saying that. That's amazing. And so you studied in Europe and felt like you wanted to remain abroad. And so tell us about I really want to know, because you were in London and was it more international? Why do you think when you came to the Netherlands, it was that you felt, I love this phrase that you use because I can relate in a different way, but you just suddenly became a person of color overnight. I love that you said that. I love that you're living that. But why do you think, can you tell us about that moment? Because you were obviously younger and all these things. So a lot comes with age and experience, and also social movements going on.
Yeah.
Tell
I
us that
think the
story.
biggest difference was that I was a student. I think
Mm,
student life is so different than actually living somewhere because you don't have to deal with a lot of things. And I think England and London just in general has a lot of Indians. So you don't
mhm.
really, you're like a part of the crowd, I feel like.
Okay.
And again, I was young and maybe I did face racism back then, but I just didn't know it was that. I think I was just also a bit more aware of why people treat you a certain way. I think I was very naive back then.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I only had a visa for 2 years in London, so I knew I was going to go back. It's not like I could stay there.
Right.
So I knew I had to study and leave again. So I didn't.
So you do experience a place when it's temporary, you may experience it differently. That makes a lot of sense too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you came to the Netherlands, it felt like you wanted to make it a little more permanent. So that's one way. So can you describe like that moment, or if there was a moment where you're just like, oh, wow, this is something completely different. I would love to hear that story if you have it.
In Netherlands, you mean?
Yeah, in the Netherlands. I mean, that moment, it's again so powerful to me that you say overnight I became a person of color. Like that's an amazing notion. So,
I think
what
what
was
really, um, yeah, I think it was the job search
it?
sort of
Mm,
experience because I had to immediately, I even started looking before I moved. And then when I moved, I was still looking for jobs. And I knew a lot of Dutch people when I moved here. And then they would tell me, like, you should probably put there in block letters that you have a visa to work here because just because you have an Indian name, they will probably throw away your resume. And like multiple people told that to me. It's not like one person.
mm.
And then just the fact that you're Indian on a resume, they would just not pay attention to it or the other side, which is like, oh, you're brown, so you might actually get in on diversity quota or something. Like you hear all of these things which I've never heard about before. So I
Wow.
think that was when I was like, oh, so this actually matters. And then for sure, the first time I faced like blatant racism in the Pipe, which is like the most like international area of Amsterdam. And I really that whole experience just changed my sort of like, wow, you will actually discriminate against me just because of who I look like.
Tell
You
us
know,
that. Do you mind telling us that story about being in the pipe and that?
well, I've also made a TikTok about it, but it's I was in a pop-up shop. I was like working in with a brand, and we were doing like a pop-up shop, and this woman, this older Dutch woman, came in to try on clothes, and there were three of us in the store. None of us were Dutch, so it was not because I was not Dutch. The other two people were white, French and Danish, and I was Indian. And she would just not talk to me. She was just not talk to me. I would ask her a question, she would just ignore me and wait for those people to come out. And like I thought I did something because that's immediately what you do. You go inward and see what you did, and somehow you represent 1.3 billion Indians. Because if you do something, you're ruining the names of Indians. But white people never have that responsibility. If one white person does something, doesn't mean the entire culture gets a black mark. But I thought I was doing something wrong, so I started complimenting her, like, "Oh, the color looks really good on you," because I know white people love that compliment. But and then she just was like not talking, and then she was smiling, and I smiled back, and she's like, "No, no, no, I'm not smiling at you. I'm smiling at her." And it was not because I didn't speak Dutch, because the other two didn't. It was not because I was not Dutch, because the other people were not. Because I know that's like, you get annoyed that people don't speak Dutch in your country. I get that. But yeah, so that was just like, and I felt it like visceral in my body. Like I felt it. It wasn't something I felt she was She doesn't want to engage with me because because there's nothing else. And I still doubted myself, but I couldn't doubt the feeling I was feeling. That was a very like my hands were shaking. I was feeling shame. It was so many different things.
Mm.
And then I told some people what happened, and they were like, Rashi, that's racism. Like the white people had to tell me like that woman was,
Yeah.
and also then some people told me like this is common because in the Netherlands it's a bit under the radar.
Mm.
And this was before I made content and everything, because now I have a lot of hate racist comments, but you kind of see the reality a little bit. But back then
Mm.
I knew this existed, but when it happens to you, you do get like, wow, is this what it feels like? So
Yeah, it's a lot different, I'm sure, to experience it than just to
yeah.
hear about it. And the disbelief in your own experience, I mean, it's all part of it. Part of it.
Yeah, it was like these stages I went through in like 10 minutes. And then, yeah, one of the other ladies were like, oh my gosh, she was so nice. I was like, no, she was not nice. Because you could see how she was treating us differently just in the same room.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the person of color thing really comes from the job search experience. Also, just when random people would yell at me, I would make a TikTok about it. Like, what did I do? Is this like, cause it's I think it's also when you are in a new culture, you question everything cause you might be doing something wrong that is
Yeah.
culturally wrong. And
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. But then sometimes people are just dicks. So,
Yeah. Just being terrible. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I can relate to that as a white person, just like constantly feeling like you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Adding anything else on top of that would be a lot of stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That feeling still like somewhat lingers.
of
Like, am I
course.
doing something wrong? Am I? Ugh.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Thank you so much for sharing that because I think I think it's important to tell that and not TikTok is important, but thank you for telling it here because I think it's an important moment. Okay. So you were here for a bit, but during the pandemic, you've kind of found your way on social media by following kind of your interests. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us how you got started in that.
I was super bored. I was super unemployed. It was COVID. You couldn't go anywhere. And I think this was like the thick of lockdown where I think we even had like a night curfew and things like that. And I didn't have any friends. I didn't have like people to talk to. I couldn't go home for a while. So I just feel like I was looking for some sort of connection to people, and internet was the only way you could connect to people or your friends or your family. And I was on TikTok a lot, and I was also on Instagram. I would do a lot of my personal stuff. And one of my friends actually back in India, she told me, you should do this, because I was making all these funny videos because it was just fun, because Reels was just introduced on Instagram back then. And I was just making these funny things like transitions, and I was doing fashion things because I loved like showing up my outfit, and, also for the pop-up shop I was working at. So I was doing all of these things, and my friend was like, you could actually do this. Like, why don't you, do this more often and it could be a thing? And I was like, yeah, no, it's not me. I'm not going to do it. But I thought like making a little bit more funny videos was fun because I laughed at so many TikToks, and then I made a TikTok and I laughed at my own TikTok for 15 minutes. So I was like, if it's funny to me, it must be funny to other people. And that's the TikTok that went viral. That was my first TikTok I ever posted. Um, and
And
I think
tell us what it was about. Tell it just
it
briefly.
was about Dutch people being really fast on their bikes. And it was just a really funny sound. And I took videos of Dutch people on bikes and I made it 2 times faster, like the video.
Nice.
The sound is like, woo! And it's so stupid, but it's so funny.
And true.
So I think because my first TikTok went viral, you just want to make more because it is so much. You get such a dopamine hit
Mm-hmm.
with people laughing at your joke.
Yeah.
And then I made completely something else on Instagram the same day. It was about how if you're Indian, you pick something from the back of the shelf and not the front of the shelf.
Oh yeah, the toilet or the toothpaste. You're like, I think
Toothpaste,
that one. Yeah.
deodorant, any toiletry, even chips. I will pick the back because the front might be crushed, whatever. And
Oh, that's the thing. So like that's the thing. So you
it'll
pick
be
the back
fresher,
one.
it'll be newer at the back. So
Ah,
I made
okay.
that reel completely different. On the same day, even that went viral. And I was like, what is happening? And then, yeah, I also made something about being tall and how the joke was in India, they don't say, oh my God, you're so tall. How nice. In India, they say, how are we going to find a boy for you? Because that was my life. Because I'm 185 centimeters, 6 feet one. And my entire teenage life has been like, how are we going to find a boy for her? How are we going to find a boy for her? So, I think as soon as I like my TikTok started going viral and my Instagram also the same day, I think it gave me like, oh my God, I could do this. And it was so much fun because I had so much time on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And the more and more I did it, the more and more I started getting comments and messages. And I finally like found people who I could talk to, and a lot of really cool, smart people follow me because the conversations I have in my DMs are just next level. And I also just feel like I have this like community online, and they're some of the most amazing people. So I felt like I was not lonely anymore. And even if I was, I would put it up on TikTok. Hey, have nothing to do today, but like I'm gonna try and go out. So like I also would just post a lot of authentic feelings because I think a lot of people were feeling that during COVID,
Yeah.
especially internationals if you just moved here.
Yeah, I remember the day you couldn't fly back to your parents. When I mean that was a universally no one ever thought that would happen.
Exactly.
So if you're feeling that, you need to hear that from other people. It brought a lot of people together. But so you were feeling that and felt you shared it, and that do you find that you made a lot of people? So was it a lot of people that you were connecting with connections to the Netherlands or just everywhere in the world?
I think a lot of people who moved to the Netherlands,
Hmm.
but also people from India who followed me back then because my Indian content was going viral then. So
Oh,
I
nice.
think it doesn't, because the topic wasn't moving abroad then. It was just,
Hmm.
how are we
Being lonely.
feeling?
Yeah.
And then I added the layer of the feminist content. And so sort of, yeah,
And that follows your personal journey a little bit. I think what you're
definitely.
doing is really beautiful because you're following your own personal journey and bringing us along with you, which I think is a little bit how social media may have started out, but it's
Yeah,
definitely gone away from that. So I am craving that type of connection still on social media.
yeah,
And so I think that's lovely that you've kind of added these layers, like you said, of like
yeah,
feminism, white privilege awareness, all these things.
yeah.
And so how does that changed for you? How has that changed your audience or changed how you show up online, or has it? Because those are big topics. Those are big, big, heavy topics for some people.
I think my main goal was that I never thought I would have an audience. I never thought I would have people watching me, listening to me. I feel like I secretly always wanted it because I love attention and I love to talk, but I that was never the purpose. So once it started happening, I was like, okay, now I have all these eyeballs. Now they have to listen to what I have to say. So it's a lot about what I have to say or what my experiences are, because otherwise I feel like it's a bit fake.
Yeah.
And I still plan content. I still like make connections of, okay, maybe this would work now, but like it's always what I'm going through and what I am sort of thinking about. Like I recently posted about going to the saunas here because you have to be completely naked.
Yeah.
And this was my second time, but it was like a proper big sauna. I was like, I still, it can't get over the conditioning that we have where we feel so uncomfortable with the nudity. And I just posted about it and I got so many messages, talking about even from men that how we are so conditioned to be ashamed of our bodies and nudity. And like, so just this started like a conversation. And I love sharing things that I go through because I know other people relate to it.
Yeah.
And I think we just need someone to tell us we're not crazy because we're all going through the
We're all
same
going through
experience
something. Yeah.
here.
And experiencing the culture outside your own culture is really, it's ripe with ideas and change and
Exactly.
evolution, like you said.
Yeah.
And so was there a moment, I mean, because when you're going viral, there's sometimes, I think, if I were to think, and I watched other people, there's this like drive to just do what the people want and get more and go viral again and again. How was there a distinct decision when you made the decision, or is there a reason you made the decision to not kind of follow that instead of your own path?
I think because this is not my job, so I have a full-time job, so social media is not my job, like my personal Instagram and TikTok, which makes it easier for me to just do what I want to do and not care about the numbers, the followers, the engagement. I care, but not like it doesn't, sustain my livelihood. I think that's two very different things. If that's your job, there's a different connotation to all of this. And the second thing I think is social media is such a pain in the ass to do if you don't enjoy it. If you don't enjoy making the content, it is insanely annoying. It takes so much time and effort and energy, and you have to wait till it's sunny, and like there's so many things.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I don't enjoy it, I'm going to just stop doing it. And I don't want that. So I just have to do what I actually like doing. And if I don't like it, it's gonna annoy me, and then I will just not post anything for like a few days. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
That
think
makes,
it's a bit selfish. I want to have fun,
oh, you're
and I'm
using,
very lucky. This is not my like livelihood, so I can just do whatever I want.
yeah. But I love that because I think that, that's what made social media so powerful in the beginning. And especially for people who maybe have a need for a platform, but not the resources necessarily. Like you said, not everyone can be a full-time influencer. And this goes for women, which I think women are often, they don't have as much time as men.
Yeah,
And of course, women are some of the best influencers. We get that. But like, I think women that need to tell their stories actually often don't have time or the resources. And resources, I mean, my time.
yeah.
And so I really love that. I feel like you're being a renegade in this way, which I really enjoy. And I think that will, yeah, I just love that you're able to be free, and that makes me happy. I want to talk about your expansion into stand-up comedy. Tell us tell us that story and how it's going.
I think my friends have a lot of a very important role to play in that because I make funny content on TikTok and Instagram. A lot of my friends would tell me you should do stand up because you do comedy, and to me that's just insane. I was like, I can't do comedy. I can't. Like reels are different. Like you hop on a trend or you can refilm a video like 10 times, but like stand up comedy where you have to make people laugh, that is insane.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would tell me that, but I would always be like, that's not for me. And then I made friends in the comedy scene in Amsterdam. So, because some of the comedians who are really amazing, they also do TikToks. I met them through TikTok, and then I met some comedians, and then I suddenly like thought about if I wanted to do stand up, what would I talk about? And then and I was like, wow, I have so much comedy content already existing, which was my reels and TikToks. So I took one TikTok and sort of expanded that into basically I just pretended if I was talking about this topic to my friends, and I wrote it down, and then I posted I posted it on my stories that everything is so crazy in my life right now that I just sat down and wrote my first stand-up comedy bit. And then so many messages like, oh my God, I would so come to your comedy thing. And I think that's the thing with having an audience on Instagram. You can get instant feedback on something that you're thinking about. And then one of the comedians, Ram, go watch his comedy. It's local tourist comedy. He messaged me like, hey, if you want a 5-minute spot on in my next show, I was like, are you insane? I can't do this. He's like, you can do it. It's going to be great. And again, me loving attention always works for me because I was like, you know what? If I'm in a room and everybody has to shut up and listen to me talk about white privilege, this is great. So,
Yep. That's
uh,
amazing.
so I think my first stand-up bit, which I still perform sometimes. It's about white privilege, but also how they want to be like brown people.
I love this, actually. I really think tell us a little bit about this. I know not the whole bit, because we'll link to it if we can, but also we'll just go see it. But tell us a little bit about this, because I think it's A, so funny, but B, like you said, it's helpful for those of us who are white.
Literally my experience, because like in India, because of colonialism and everything, like and just the white supremacy, you're always told everything white is better, because that's when you get the privilege. Like looking like a white person, like you are supposed to dress like decent and whatever, civilized. So you wear pants and like shirts, and like like, you know, if you wear your ethnic wear, you're discriminated against. Everything white is better. And then when I moved to Netherlands, I was like, that is such a scam. They just want to be like us. Cause like I would get so many compliments on my hair and my eyebrows and, oh my God, your skin color. And I was like, but that woman just was racist to me because of my skin color, but you love my skin color, but like you want my skin color. You don't want this on me. And this was just like insane. Also because I'm in the sustainability sort of industry, there's a lot of appreciation for Indian craft. And then everybody wants to try out Ayurveda, yoga. Oh my God, the amount of women who wanted to take me to yoga class. I was like, I don't like yoga. Leave me alone. Like, I don't need to like yoga just because I'm Indian.
Yeah.
It's all these things that everybody around me was just so crazy about. I was like, oh my God, they want to be like, we are the people that they want to be like. Like the scam was exposed to me.
Yeah.
And I suddenly was like, South Asians might be better. We don't even have to be better when like they want to be like us. I think we should stop feeling like we're beneath them. I think that's when I really was like, you know what? I'm not gonna feel like I'm not enough or something just because you feel like that, because clearly you don't.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what my stand-up bit was about. And I also do storytellings. I did storytelling and stand-up like in like the first month that I tried it, and I loved it. It was amazing. You get addicted to that laughter, that applause, and then the people come up to you later. Like I talked about whitening creams and
Oh yeah. Tell us a little bit about that. So the difference between whitening creams and self tanner or tanning beds.
well, because in India, I didn't face this because I'm a lighter skinned Indian. That's also one of the privileges I have. But if you are a bit darker, you get like I also got told to not go play in the sun because you'll ruin your color. You see whitening cream ads where they really place your entire worth on your skin color. Like you could have gotten a better job. You could have
Oh wow.
married that man. You could have gotten all these successes just because, you know, you were dark and you could have been whiter, use your whitening cream.
Wow.
Um, and I knew people liked to tan because I see that in India, white people just sitting there in the sun, like just like tanning. But I didn't know how obsessed people were. And I think in the Netherlands, it's really like a thing. Like I've never seen this level of want to be brown. And you can say tan, but it's brown. You want to be more brown.
Yep.
And then I think the really when it clicked in my head was when I saw an advertisement of Kruidvat on my stories, and it was before and after of a woman, and the before was a white woman, and then the after was like brown because you fake tan. In India, it's reversed. In India, before is a brown person, and then the after is just slightly like lighter skin, whiter, fairer skin.
Yep.
So that to me was the real. I was like, this is so insane. It's literally the opposite, except for the fact that you don't get discriminated here for being white. And that's the difference. So to me, tan all you want, be whatever you want, but you can't do that while people of that color are getting discriminated against. That's what to me is just, it's how do you not see that? And then the fake tanning sort of, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. And it's a lot of money and time that people spend on it. I think after 2 summers here, I was really like, this is such a big thing in your life. And also if my friends, we would go shopping in the winter, they would be like, oh my God, I cannot wear this. Look at my legs. They're so pale right now. I need some color.
Yep.
And I was like, you're the beauty standard, right? This is what they're using on billboards to sell things.
Yep.
Like the pale skin, the white, everything. You are the beauty standard. And then so to me, all the conclusion I came to, it's like, it's just capitalism trying to just scam us all into just buying more things.
To
Because
not
if
be,
God forbid you like your body, God forbid you like what you look like, you'll stop buying things.
yeah.
Um,
You said something that I thought was really important. At least it was important. It was a moment for me when I was watching your stuff, when you were saying that something about someone saying, you were saying whitening creams is not the same as self tanner. They're like, yeah, well, but you're like, but the privilege that you have with this, and you can pretend not to be, is this thing that I think is this aha moment that you may be easier at having because you've done it, but that it's not the same. That is the key.
Yeah, because you can take it off. You can take the self tanner off. And in my comedy bit, I say like, do you want to go through airport security looking like me? I don't think so. Like, you don't want to be checked all the time at the security because you look a certain way. And then, so I also talk about this experience at the airport. But yeah, I don't, you can wear fake tan, you can tan, but also have it in mind what society actually, or capitalism is actually trying to do, because in the other part of the world, people are doing the opposite.
Yep.
I think just having that awareness, it's not, okay, stop doing whatever. It's just have that awareness.
Yep. And that's what my big question for you is because, when you have these realizations, like you've done, like I've done, and I hope to keep doing, it does for a minute make you go, oh my God, I'm doing the wrong thing. But when people leave your content or evolve along with you, because I love that that's part of what you're doing, is you're also evolving and learning and teaching. When people leave, what do you want them? Is this the new awareness you're bringing to them, and that inherently changes the world? Would you sum that up as what drives you? Or maybe you could tell us in your own words. What drives you, those moments?
I think what drives me is speaking about my own sort of realizations, experiences, and how I'm navigating all the things I'm doing. And if other people can relate to it, learn from it, get awareness about their own sort of thoughts and what they feel and what they think about, then that is just, to me, a great bonus. And it makes me want to keep doing what I'm doing. And I say a lot of times, why am I doing what I'm doing still, is because of all the messages I get. I get so many messages telling me this helps them, this is relatable. If they want a confidence boost, like this gave them that boost. So I think also it is just so important. If you have a voice and an audience, you need to use it for the good. And I can't just not say something. So I don't want to say something as like a preacher or like, oh, I know everything. That's why I only talk about it from my own experiences, because that's never going to be not valid. It's always going to stand true, because I experienced this. This is my lived experience. Yeah. So I always try to talk from my own experience. I don't try to be the know-it-all sort of, I know everything. And I choose comedy to do it because I love making people laugh. And I've been now, especially after I've heard the laughter in real time. That's why I think I love stand-up comedies, because it makes you feel so good. And I do it via comedy because I feel like it's an easy, digestible way to give a bit of shocking information. And if you didn't learn from it, at least you laughed. And I think if the world would be better if people were a bit more, self-aware, lighthearted, sort of just not angry all the time. But I mean, we have to be angry for a lot of things, but at our own selves, I think if we can just think inwards and just think of our privilege. And I think because I have so much privilege, I also wanted to make content where I make other people realize how much privilege they have, especially in the Netherlands. There's so much privilege people have here, and you can hate everything still. You can still complain about everything. The weather sucks, blah, blah, blah. But just realize how much you have that people would kill to have. And then you can, go ahead and do that. But I think that's also one of my main motivators, is to show people how much privilege they have and how good they have it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what's next for you? What should we be watching? I mean, I know you're putting out a ton of content. You're doing stand-up. What is next for you? What's the next stage, or is there one?
I think the next is whatever I feel like. I love that. That is also such a privilege, but I definitely want to continue doing my comedy. So if you want to come to one of my stand-up shows.
Yeah, where can we see you perform?
I post, I do multiple different venues. There's an amazing stand-up comedian community in Amsterdam and Netherlands also. And I'm so glad I'm part of that community. So I'm doing stand up here and there, but I put it usually on my Instagram profile and stories to all my upcoming shows. I'm not a professional comedian. I mean, I am, but it's not like I do it all the time. I just do it when I feel like it. I also do storytelling sometimes. I also post that on my profile.
So Instagram is a great place to watch. TikTok and Instagram, of course, and we'll link those below. But so if we want to see you live, but also you're posting regularly on Instagram and TikTok.
And if you want to join the conversation, my stories are the best place, because that's where I'm really out there. And I think I'll just continue making content and see how it evolves with how my experiences evolve. So
yeah, you'll just keep following your own flow. I love it. I love that. And I my hat is off to you, as they say.
That is so sweet.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I will continue to follow along as a fan. But yeah, I just really appreciate you coming on, answering all my questions, telling your story. And I look forward to learning along with you.
Thank you for having me. It was so nice to talk to you.
Thanks so much. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed our show. For the latest insights on living internationally, join us at houseofperegrine.com to find out how you can connect with our community. Let's craft our life story with intention together.